until Jess gets here, but she should be, everything else, there's no votes for anything, I don't think.
Okay. Okay, well, I would like to, oh, oops, I don't know what I just did. Okay, I think I accidentally clicked FaceTime, sorry. I'd like to call the North Liberty Library meeting, board meeting to order.
Chris is here, she says.
Okay. Oh, that one. Okay. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes? Did we get the minutes?
They're in the packet.
Okay, okay, yes, sorry.
And Chris can just approve from text message and I can save it or something if you want me to.
Right.
I don't know, because we do have to approve the minutes, I guess, or we can hold off on approving them until Jess.
Yeah, when Jess gets here, then we can approve.
Oh, there comes Heidi.
Yay.
Awesome. We'll get all this working out.
We know if Chris is able to join.
She is in. She's on Facebook. She's texting.
Fantastic.
And then Jess is just going to be a little bit late.
Okay. Should we give her a minute?
No, she said to go ahead and she'd just be here. She has to drop her kiddos off or something.
Oh, sounds good. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? So we'll start the April board meeting for the Library Board of Trustees. And I am pulling up the agenda right now, so bear with me. I believe off the top of my head, well, we have nobody attending from the public. And then is there any revisions that need made to the agenda for tonight?
I didn't see anything.
Okay, sounds great. And then for the minutes from March, were there any changes or anything that was needed done?
I think so. I made a cut and paste error on item 1A.
Okay.
So I need to strike out that participated in on line 1A.
Okay. Would you be able, if you could update that, were there any other changes?
And I will update that, yes.
Sounds great. With that, does anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes with the described revision?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Perfect. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, so that is approved for the March minutes with the revision. And then we can go ahead and go into reports. And you see we have Andrew here. Welcome, Andrew. We can start with, I know the order is off, but if we want, we can start with your report so you don't need to stay on for the length of the meeting.
Okay, cool. Well, hello, everyone. So yes, I am Andrew Frisbee, the collection development librarian at the library. And I was just going to go over, I guess, some of what we've been doing over the last year. So let me see about sharing screen. What this share, then can I start from beginning? All right, is everyone seeing that? Perfect. Okay, so so this is what our checkouts have been looking like. I kind of been basing everything off of last March, so March of 2020. sort of how our circulation is breaking down. So the teen at about 5% is pretty standard for that's how it's been for several years. The primary being 40%. Usually the other pieces of the pie are pretty evenly distributed between adult primary and juvenile, but primary is kind of pulled out here. As I've been looking at this over the last couple of days, I'm wondering if it's so early on, we actually noticed there was a dip in primary. So we started doing the sort of librarian's dozen of picture books. So people could, since picture books were more of a browsing sort of appeal, we kind of did the browsing for people, and we pulled the books together and just give sort of a random assortment. And we had talked at one point about how to do that for like adult stuff, but couldn't quite figure out how to do it. And I wonder if, because we had that service sort of there, if that's why primary's ahead. I don't know, but it's definitely, because usually it's about, so the last year was 36%. So we're about 4% more on that one. Let me just make sure I'm at the right spot with my notes. I know that's kind of small, but this is just sort of how things have gone. As you know, so we have like the big dip, you know, because we were open at the beginning of March, and then we kind of, you know, things kind of bottom out, and then you can sort of see where, oops, I could point with my pointer, where we start opening for browsing appointments again, and cert goes up, and then it was December-ish and January that we closed for browsing appointments again. So less circulation then, and then, you know, it goes back up as we've been back open for browsing appointments. But yeah, so just interesting to see. So that top one is the picture books again. So that's our best circulating area of the library for now. And then this is monthly circulations. The tall, the orange are so it'd be 2019 monthly totals. And then the blue are last year, so 2020, beginning of 21. So you can see our normal curve is we kind of do our best in June, July, and then there's usually kind of a spike January, and that's kind of like as folks are still like at the tail end of Christmas break, but don't really have like family holiday obligations. Whereas this year we kind of have the inverse. You can definitely again see where we were closed, and then July we opened back up and circulation kind of goes up, and then in December, January we were closed again. It kind of lower obviously drops down a little bit. So by and large, we've been at about 40% circulation as we were pre-COVID, and then but March we were at 67%. So we're kind of we're definitely getting more circulation. Let's see if I made any notes I wanted to mention. So one of the big services we added is Cloud Library. So we added this. It launched March 1st. So it's it's an app that you download, and you can manage all of your family's library cards like in the one app. So like a parent could have their card and all of their kids' cards, and it's easy for them to just pull it up, and we could scan it with our scanner at the library, or it's set up that they could actually check out physical items with the app. So they just basically use your phone's camera to scan the barcode, and it checks you out. But also you're able to see everything that you have checked out, and you could renew it. You can make a nice list for yourself. So like when you're leaving the house to go to the library to return your items, if you've got everything. So there's also a digital collection component, which is what I'm going to focus on. So it's similar to Digital Johnson County. We just share it with different libraries. So it is Sioux Center, Orange City, and then the Cedar Rapids Metro libraries are the libraries in the state currently subscribing to Cloud Library, and we all kind of share a collection together. So again, it's really only been 6 weeks, so it's kind of hard to make too many judgments. But so these are the numbers, because our stuff can be checked out by other libraries. The bulk of, like, almost half of our stuff, that the items that we've purchased, 49% are being checked out by the Cedar Rapids Metro, and then 29% by North Liberty residents, and then that 22 is Sioux Center. I don't know why Orange City isn't using any of ours. And then this is where our patrons' stuff is coming from. So actually 44%. So the bulk of it is actually coming from the Sioux Center Library, which surprised me because, I mean, it's a smaller town, so I assume they had like a smaller digital collection, but they've probably been investing in it more, so they have more built up.
I can
than 30%.
just jump in and say that they
Yeah.
have had it probably the longest in Iowa. They've had it for 8 years.
Okay, there we go.
I believe at Sioux Center that I talked to Becky, and she said that they'd had it for about 8 years. So that could be why theirs is a little beefed up.
Yep, I bet so. So yeah, and then the 30%, where'd my mouse go? Right there is our materials that our patrons are using. 22 is from the Cedar Rapids Metro, and then 4% from Orange City. So again, it's only been 6 weeks, but it's pretty slick. The interface, like, I'm able to see. So it is set up that North Liberty residents get preferred checkout on North Liberty purchased materials. So we have, a book that is checked out to a Cedar Rapids resident, and if a North Liberty resident wants it, their hold gets fulfilled on it first. But I'm able to see like what our patrons are putting on hold so that I could purchase copies for our residents so that they would circulate more. And we can't, at least not that I figured out yet, I'm not able to see statistics on, I can only see statistics on what has actually circulated. I can't see usage of the app for like the in-house checkout or managing how many families are managing their cards that way. I don't know if I'm just not finding it correctly, or I'll probably reach out to our rep and see if we're able to see those things, because I know Melanie is curious at how well that's being used. So, I mean, again, and it is a small collection. It's just 71 titles that we purchased so far. But yeah, so then over on Overdrive, which is still our biggest digital collection, we were kind of going pretty sure and steady. And actually, I think at one point, I even kind of talked about how right here you can tell it's like the e-audiobooks were going to overtake e-book checkouts. And then April of last year, the ebooks spiked quite a bit. And they continue to be used a great deal, but they have kind of evened out to be more a little on average, I guess. Let me see if I have anything that I was missing there. And then the next one is just those same stats, but not with the previous years added on. So actually, ebook usage has gone down a little bit since last March, and e-audio is going up a little bit. And then we're still doing Canopy, which is our digital video service. So I found it easiest to track how many minutes people watch instead of like titles or this is just how I've been doing it. So Canopy again there is a cost per view for us, and we limit. Is it, Jenny? I was going to ask you. Is it eight views a day? Is that what we capped it at?
It was 8, but we bumped it up to 15 last year when kind of during the COVID stuff. So
Okay. I knew we bumped it up. I couldn't remember from what to what. So yeah, there is sort of a limit on how many people can check out, how many credits they can use per day. And there was, at the very beginning of everything, they made a lot of their kids and some of their educational stuff free for libraries. They've cut that off, so they're kind of charging full for everything. But yeah, seeing nice increased use of that. And then this next one is what we're actually being invoiced for. So this is how much we're paying. Which again, honest, I mean, they did make a lot of it free for like, gosh, until pretty recently. So we weren't charged as much as people were actually using it. And we are planning on continuing using this. And because DVD purchases have slowed down because not a lot of DVDs are being released because there's not a lot of movies in theaters, we're shuffling some of that money over to Canopy. And then I was just going to share some of the information about the statistics I've been doing with Roy Knegi, our specialist. I care. Consultant. Mental lapse there. Yes, our consultant who's been developing this demand model, which will using our statistics and how our patrons are using our collection, we're kind of getting an idea of where we can purchase. So we are using 2019 numbers because the 2020 numbers are kind of not fully applicable. So, and I'm sorry, some of these I might have shared with Jenny, so you might have seen some of them before, and I apologize, but we get to see them again. So this, I know, again, it's kind of small, is reader availability. So we want there to be a 70 to 90% chance that when a patron comes in, what they're looking for in a given genre, they're able to find. So currently, at least in this version of it, which is probably, I can't remember when he made this chart, the adult DVD science fiction, that collection was not meeting that demand. And then down here, as we get into adult arts and crafts, adult pastimes, Western inspirational, fantasy, history, and some of the audios, the collection size actually outstrips the demand for it. So we could probably weed some of those collections. So again, like he likes us to be in this like sweet spot of 70 to 90% chance of what a patron is looking for, they would be able to find. And again, he broke them down into, he calls them rhizomes. So some of our nonfiction collections are kind of small, so we group them together in similar things. So like adult STEM is like the science stuff, gosh, I can't remember what's in, and then math, probably all the computer stuff. So they're grouped together to get them to like a statistically significant number of books, which is we're shooting for 400 in each rhizome as a minimum. And then the next one is sort of a sample of one of the charts that we are getting out of it. That so basically our goal is to, so we decided, because the library is not getting bigger and we're not adding shelving, there's not much wiggle room in terms of making the rhizomes that much bigger. If some continue to lag behind, then the argument could be made to rearrange some shelves just in terms of what's being put on those shelves. But right now the plan is to keep each rhizome, each collection at a steady state. So keeping that in mind so he has it set with a target of like five years to get to I guess our goal. And so basically right here, it says we would so I just picked adult fiction because it's one of our best circulating areas. So we would add 1,280 titles and weed 1,212 titles for a net add of, sorry, we're kind of blocked there, of just 68 new titles for adult fiction. So again, we're basically sort of steady state. We're taking out stuff that isn't read anymore, is in not the greatest of shape, and getting new stuff in. And then that brings me to, I just was curious as to at what sort of rate I have been adding new stuff into the catalog. So this is kind of where I have been over the last two-ish years. So I definitely, there was drops as we were working alternately from home and at the library. So that's kind of this low spot here, like last April, May, and then June as we started getting back in a little more regularly. And then again, December stuff wasn't, because we were working every other day. But again, it averages out as, and I'm working on developing a weeding plan so that basically the shelves aren't being overwhelmed with new stuff. So right now, because it's still relatively new, the chart doesn't really exist. It only has a couple plot points on it yet. But I've been deleting basically as much as has been added in. And right now the focus is on adult fiction and juvenile fiction, because that's where we need the space right now. And those are two of the most best circulating collections in the library. And then again, this just further illustrates we've kind of been at sort of this steady state spot for probably a year or two now. This is our state report from last year. So, whoops. Did I unshare the screen? Sorry, guys. There it is. So we added, oh, sorry. So yeah, we added 4,000 books last year, and then 4,300 the year before. We withdrew 3,700 last year and withdrew almost 4,700 the year before. So clearly not a lot of weeding got done last year, but still well, I mean, it basically evens out, but we're definitely weeding a lot right now. And I'm gonna, I'm limited right now with, we don't have a lot of space to store weeded things. We would like to keep them on hand for the book sale, but the space that I stash those books in is full because we didn't have the book sale last year. So that is kind of where I'm at with weeding. Were there any questions? Is it okay if I stop sharing, I guess? The PowerPoint? I can always reshare. Okay. So yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Andrew, thank you for going through everything. One question I have, I'm so excited about having all these different apps and options, but I get them confused about when I should use what. Would you mind explaining the Libby versus Cloud, the new one,
Yes.
versus how do I find if I want to check out a physical book, like put it on reserve?
Right. So the physical Cloud Library is the only one that's currently linked to our physical collection.
Okay.
And then it has the small digital collection with it. You can't, so like right now on like our side, like we can see patrons have checked out, 3 physical books and then like 2 books from Libby and then like 1 book from Cloud Library. Whereas Cloud Library won't show those Libby books because they don't have access to those. So right now the bulk of the digital collection is on Libby and it's shared with Iowa City and Coralville. And yeah, so Cloud Library is the physical materials. You would be able to see what you have checked out physically and renew. You know what?
Yeah, you can't browse our collection on Cloud Library. You have to click the link to the actual website.
And I was thinking, I'm not sure how much you can do with holds on physical materials either. I don't think you can. I think you can just see what you have checked out and then you could renew them. I don't think you can place physical stuff on hold through Cloud Library. That you would still have to log into our website or through the catalog or give us a call.
So yeah, so the collection is in the regular website. You can search it through the app on the website. Cloud Library and Libby is the app that we use for digital Johnson County. So it's Overdrive is the name of the company that we buy our ebooks from. But Libby is the app that some people just use Overdrive app, but the Libby app is really nice. So it's much more user friendly. So, and Cloud Library is just an addition. It's just a new one that we wanted to add additional ebooks and e-audios because we're already looking to get the app and they just had this great feature and I only hope it'll grow so that, anybody who opts in shares with the whole state. Anybody in the state who has it, we would share with. So if people continue to purchase and become part of it, it'll continue to grow.
Thank you for explaining that, because I actually use Overdrive. I have Libby, then I got this Cloud Library, and so I was all kinds of confused. So thank you for explaining.
So the great part is like I have 5 books checked out on Cloud or on Libby, which is all I can have. So, and then I went to Cloud Library and checked out a couple too, because I'm traveling tomorrow and I want to make sure I have enough content to keep me busy. So.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Andrew, can you quickly give us an explanation, a high-level explanation of how the demand modeling works? How do we know that I went in looking for Spider-Man DVD and it wasn't there?
I do not understand the level of statistics that Roy is working with. I think it has to do with he takes into account like how long stuff sits on the shelf. So I run a monthly snapshot. So he wants it like the middle of the month. So usually the 15th or 16th. And on that, it's every item in the collection has like when the item was created, the last time it circulated, the current status of it, and like how many circulations it's had, in addition to a lot of other stuff. But he percolates that down into the demand for each of the rhizomes. Yeah,
That makes sense. Thank you.
it is a level of statistics that I don't remember from my statistics days.
Does anybody else have any questions for Andrew? Thank you very much for sharing all the data with us.
Oh, you are most welcome. Yeah, and if there's ever any questions about any of it, I am more than happy to share. I've always got lots of charts, all sorts of numbers floating around. Alrighty. Well, thank you, everyone. It was good seeing everyone
Yeah.
on a screen again. I guess I've seen Laura in the library.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. And if we want to move into all the reports, Jenny.
Sorry, I was muted and I'm on one screen tonight, so it's a little bit, I'm juggling. So budget is looking really good. We're actually on the low end. It's 75%. We're at about 3/4 through the year, and our budget is sitting right under 70%, actually at 67. That'll change a little bit. We have, like Andrew mentioned, we're diverting about $4,000 out of DVDs to purchase more content for the Canopy app for people. That should last us quite a while. But like he said too, it's becoming more popular. So we're just seeing a different demand trend. So shifting things a little bit. And looking at, there's some computer replacements and things that Chris is finding our new IT guy. So he's working through some of that right now. And he's really good at saving us money, and he's really helping us a ton. So that's great. But other than that, it's a pretty, just a steady, and we just did amendments. They're pretty small this year. It looks really different. Everything looks so different from, the norm, but we'll get some money back through amendments as well. I know that I've kind of talked to the staff about if they have things that they've been kind of waiting for. We're also looking at whether we could use some of the funds that we have left toward the end of the year to do some of the family library or family place library materials, so that we can start that. And I neglected to tell you guys, but I will tell you during my report about a kind of an exciting opportunity that we may be having for family place as well. But unless you guys have questions, that is the budget in a nutshell. I did include in here, more just for your information, this is our new budget software, the second spreadsheet that I included, or the second report. I haven't determined whether I'm just going to start giving this to you guys as opposed to my full thing that I take, the time that I make in the Excel spreadsheet. It's virtually the same information, just laid out a little differently. I was kind of curious about your thoughts about it, what you thought of the appearance of it, if it made sense. And I'm happy to continue the other one. It's pretty easy. This new software is just really slick. It allows me to do a lot more with reporting. I'm super excited about it. We can submit all of our bills online now, through the software as well, and get them paid and approved without even, I have long been emailing a lot of things to them because I hate printing things. Whenever I can, I email, but this just makes it even more easy to do that. It's pretty exciting. And I can run my own monthly reports now too, so I would love any feedback anybody has. If what you think of the second report, if you haven't had a chance to review it, feel free to email me too.
Well, Jenny, I think you doing duplicate work doesn't make sense. That if your software is generating the reports that you're satisfied with, once we become used to them, we'll be able to see the trends when we look. And so I'd say stop doing duplicate work and just do what you do for your day-to-day operation.
And that's kind of what my hope was. I was really excited when I first started looking at the reports. The older reports sort of almost look like something out of dot matrix or something. They were just not pretty to look at. And that's when I started, and I felt like I needed to cross check everything. But now that I've got a little more control over what's going in and out and can see it on I mean, I can look up things on a daily basis if I want to. I feel more comfortable and confident with the new software. So we will start trying that next month unless anyone is really worried about it. And I can always clarify things too. So
Yeah.
I also have to learn. Any other questions or comments? All right, we will move on into my report if that's okay. Is that what's next? Friends haven't met, so there's nothing to report on Friends. Their fundraising went really well and we continue to have a little bit trickle in here and there, but they raised about $1,700, $1,800. So from their fundraising. And I can't see you guys, so I'm just gonna assume you're okay with me going forward unless I hear from you. So staffing update, we had our 3 new library assistants start this month, so we are fully staffed, which is thrilling. They all are very quick learners, have done really, really well. 2 of them had library experience, the other one did not, but she's a longtime library patron, and she's so excited about working at the library. It's been really thrilling to see her get started, and she's job sharing with Liz, which Jen talks about a little bit. One of our staff wanted to cut back her hours a little bit. She still wanted to keep her job at the library, but she didn't want to work so much because she has a full-time job. So they are job sharing, and that works out for both of them really well. And then you hopefully saw in the packet an outreach and equity coordinator position memo and the job description. This is a position that's come out of talk with Nick Burgess in the communications department and Shelley Simpson, the rec director, and myself. Nick proposed this position actually a couple of years ago, and we talked through it. I'm really excited about the prospect of having this position in the building, working on making sure we have equitable services, making sure that we are coordinating our communication between departments, because sometimes it's a lot harder than you think, even though we're just a few feet down the hallway from each other. So we're very excited to have gotten the funding to get this position going next year in FY22. I didn't know if anybody had any questions about it. I just wanted you guys to be aware that we will be going before the council in May to talk a little bit more about it, but we're very excited. I think it's a much needed thing. Is there any questions?
There's a lot of head shaking now.
Okay, thank you. I can't see you. Just an update on the service reopening plan. We have been meeting with Iowa City and Coralville. We've had a couple meetings actually with them, just talking about how they're proceeding. We'd like to kind of all be on the same page, and then also balancing that with what the rec center is doing. Obviously the rec's open a little bit more than we are at this point. They've had about 20 people in. They're a little larger facility. They do 20 people per hour for weightlifting or for different areas of the building. So we are going to resume our regular operating hours starting June 1st, barring any crazy changes in increases or anything in cases in Johnson County. We'll be getting new hours put on our windows, which is the 8 to 8 every day, Monday through Thursday, and then 8 to 5 on Fridays. And then our normal weekend hours will stay the same, the 10 to 5 and 1 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday. And expanding our patron capacity, we're thinking about 30 patrons per hour starting June 1st. And actually, since the writing of this, we've kind of decided that starting in May, we are going to go to by appointment instead of by count for the month of May. So we'll have up to 8 possible appointments in the building at the same time. And we'll just ask how many people are in their group. Hoping to kind of ease into the higher numbers, because we've been working with 5, so letting the staff kind of acclimate back to what we've been working with in the past, pre-COVID schedules and all those things, since we've been doing this oddness for about a year now, or a little over a year. So we're excited to do that. We will be unlocking the doors and monitoring capacity for the safety of the staff and patrons. So we'll have a concierge sort of greeter at the door, counting. And what we've heard from the other libraries is that they aren't seeing, Iowa Cities has 140 capacity, and they aren't seeing anywhere near that. In fact, the last time I talked to them, the most they'd had in was 35 at one time. They limit their visits to 15 minutes. So we do a little bit longer. We're doing 30 minutes and then an hour for computer use. So we also have gotten reporting from the quarantine of library materials based on CDC reports now. There's been a group that's been studying this throughout the year, and I did include the link to the article that was in the New York Times, but they don't believe that it's necessary to quarantine materials, that it's such a tiny percentage of possibility for things to spread via materials. That we are ceasing quarantining and shelving as regular, which is lovely. It's such an easier operation for everybody in the library. And then just our Lighthouse in the Library event was, and Laura was there, I believe, was this last week on Thursday.
Yes.
It went really, really well. I was super excited about it. Laura, do you want to say anything about it, or?
Sorry, yes, I really enjoyed listening to the different panelists and just getting local insight was really, I really enjoyed it. I look forward to the next session. The event I think is going to be, I think in August. I think that's what Kelly was saying. So I don't know if that will be in person or not, but I look forward to it.
We are hopeful that it will be in person, and that one is going to be on education. That next topic is going to be on re-entry back into the school realm. So we're pretty excited about that. We purchased Zoom so that we could do this series in webinar format, the webinar Zoom. And then we're actually looking at getting some really nice equipment with some of the remaining funds, including a really cool camera so that we can do kind of a hybrid model of the Zoom meetings and people in person too. So if people aren't comfortable, they can still tune in from home. And she's hoping to have on the panel, educators, maybe a parent, and then I know she's hoping to also have a teen sit on the panel too, to talk about about going back to school regularly and all those good things. So we're pretty excited about it. She did an excellent job of moderating. She's really good at that. So this is just a really thrilling thing for us to be involved in. And then I just was asked to present for pandemic planning in libraries with Web Junction, which is a big national organization that works with libraries doing trainings and things. I'm super excited about it. It'll be on April 29th. If we get a link to that, I'll share it with you guys if you're interested. They'll talk about, they have this program called Realm, which I'm not going to be able to tell you what the acronym stands for, but it's basically helping libraries reopen after COVID safely and effectively. So they've been doing lots of different studies, and she's the person that I'm working with, Kendra Morgan out of Seattle. She'll be talking about that Realm project, and then I'll talk just from a professional standpoint, from the library standpoint of working through the pandemic and how we go forward now. So I've been working on the work for that. Then we have our endowment is over $54,000. We just got that report this week, and I was so excited to share that with you guys. We started that endowment just 5 years ago with $11,000. So feeling really, really good about where that sits now. We raised $1,200, and that's actually, we got $50 more after I wrote this. So we're a little over $1,300 raised for that endowment through this letter that we sent out. And then I did want to mention, don't have in here two things that I kind of didn't know about when I did this report. One I knew but wasn't confirmed yet. The first one is that the Rotary of North Quarter Rotary, which is out of Corville, the president of the Rotary lives in North Liberty. He reached out to us a couple of weeks ago and asked to visit with us about the family place libraries. And each president, when they're the president, gets to come up with a grant project The funding could be up to $10,000. He said they've never done one that big, but they'll certainly look at it. And then he would like to do the Family Place Libraries at North Liberty for his grant project. So he's going to be working on writing a grant. We'll be presenting to them at the end of the month here. Emily will do a presentation on the Family Place. I presented them last week just about the library in general, and she'll go back and present about the Family Place. So we're very hopeful and excited about that grant possibility to get some funding for Family Place. We also know that this year we have $2,000 we can pull out of that endowment if we need to help with Family Place. And as I mentioned, we have the programming fund. So it's been a little bit of a, we had planned to launch this last year in spring, and then we had this big pandemic hit us, and here we are a year and a half later, a year later, and still not moving on that. So we're very excited to get that started and launched in the fall with all hope and fingers crossed. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention was I was asked by a colleague who sent a message to a few of us to potentially do a consulting on the side. It's not library work, but I would be taking like some vacation time to do about 25 hours of consulting over just like 4 or 5 months period. And I called Ryan about it because I was really excited about it. It's really cool. I get to watch them do strategic planning and consult on the work they're doing. So for me, it's a win-win. It's just a cool professional opportunity, but I also get to learn about how the model that they're using for strategic planning. As we're knowing that we're going into our strategic planning in the fall, I feel like the professional experience will be really cool and great to have. So that is all I have on my report. And then the staff reports are below. If you guys have any questions about those, I'd be happy to answer those or talk with you about those a little bit more.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jenny. Does anybody have any questions? I'll take that as a no. So moving on to the review of policies. We have the proctoring policy and the volunteer policy. Starting with the proctoring policy, did anybody have topics on it or areas they wanted to discuss or any comments?
So I will say we did not have any comments or changes or edits. I did not have any, and none of the staff had any. So
okay. So with that, is there a motion to approve the proctoring policy as written?
I motion to approve
Is
the
there,
proctoring policy.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay, so the proctoring policy is approved. And then for the volunteer policy, did anybody have any comments or points of discussion for that one? Take that as a no. Does anybody have a motion to approve the volunteer policy as written?
I make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed, nay. All right.
also chiming in with her approval.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Chris. So both of our policies are approved as written for the year. Is there any old business we need to discuss? No? How about any new business to bring up? Quiet group tonight. Okay, no. With that, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn the April meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Perfect. All right. Well, so our next meeting is going to be May 17th at 6:30 p.m. All right. Thank you, everybody.